I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, October the 10th, 2013. The IDF last night fired a Tammuz missile at a Syrian cannon post in response to shelling from Syria that landed in Israeli territory yesterday, lightly injuring 2 IDF soldiers. According to the IDF, the target took a direct hit and the cannon post was destroyed. No casualties on the Syrian side were reported. Following yesterday's incident of errant fire, the IDF also filed a violation at the United Nations, as it has done in the past. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held several interviews with European media outlets today where he warned Europe of the dangers of a nuclear Iran. The Prime Minister held interviews with representatives from the Frankfurter Allgemeine, the French daily Le Monde, the British Financial Times, as well as the German ARD television station, the French France 24, and British Sky News.
So this regime that participates in this mass slaughter in Syria, that makes it possible, they're propping up Assad, that is practicing terrorism in 5 continents, in 25 cities in the last 3 years alone, that has violated every UN Security Council resolution to stop enrichment. This regime now is smiling and coming and saying, you know what, let me keep enrichment. Let me keep my plutonium reactors, and I'll make some tactical, some cosmetic concessions. You reduce the sanctions. You'll reduce the sanctions can collapse. So they'll get everything, and we, our collective, we get nothing.
Netanyahu referred in his interviews to Churchill, who at the time warned against the Nazis. The Prime Minister said the world mustn't let a radical regime have awesome power. Netanyahu stressed that the Iranian issue was not just an Israeli problem, but also the problem of Europe and of the entire world. He urged Europe to take part in controlling Iran's nuclear program. He said, don't let them have enrichment. Be strong, be tough, be consistent. The Jerusalem Post reports that a member of the PLO Executive Committee said that the Palestinians are seriously considering declaring the failure of peace talks with Israel. Hana Amira said that this was one of the scenarios that were discussed during the last meeting of the Palestinian leadership. Amira claimed that Israel was looking to, quote, win time and blame the Palestinians for the failure of talks. He said that Israel is benefiting from the prolonged negotiations in order to, quote, impose more facts on the ground and dictate the outcome of the talks. Amira also criticized Justice Minister Tzipi Livni for stating that the talks with the Palestinians may extend beyond the 9-month deadline which was set by the U.S., saying that Livni's remarks were in violation of the agreement with the U.S. Israeli and Palestinian negotiators met at the beginning of this week in Jerusalem for the 9th round of peace talks since they resumed in July. Israel has not commented on the peace talks in accordance with a directive from U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry to both sides to refrain from doing so. The New York Times reports that Israeli officials have expressed some concern over the decision by the United States to freeze millions of dollars in aid to Egypt. The State Department announced yesterday that it was cutting some, quote, large-scale military systems to Egypt, but will maintain its military assistance relationship with the country. They also clarified that the U.S. would continue to give Egypt support for counter-terrorism efforts in the Sinai Peninsula, which borders Israel. State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki said the United States continues to support a democratic transition and oppose violence as a means of resolving differences within Egypt. She said that the U.S. would, quote, hold the delivery of certain large-scale military systems and cash assistance to the government pending credible progress toward an inclusive, democratically elected civilian government through free and fair elections. The New York Times report said that Israeli officials expressed frustration at the U.S. government's decision and claimed that the aid to Egypt was essential in order to maintain regional stability in the area, and also that the aid provides support for the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. An unnamed Israeli official told the New York Times, "You cannot disassemble the peace treaty and take out this part or that part," adding, "But there are other elements in this conundrum. This is not just about Israel, this is about America standing in the Arab world." In what appears to be additional price tag attacks, 2 Palestinian villagers were targeted in the last 24 hours in Israel, in which cars were vandalized and property damaged. Early this morning, 3 cars were vandalized in the Arab village of Burqa, which is near Ramallah, and graffiti was sprayed on the wall of the mosque there, reading Geolat Zion Lovs Talmer Chazan, referring to the Israeli soldier who was murdered last month by a Palestinian co-worker, and also to the name of an illegal outpost in the West Bank that was dismantled by the IDF early yesterday morning, during which an IDF soldier was reportedly lightly injured. Following the dismantling of the outpost later that same day, Palestinians reported that hundreds of olive trees were burned and several cars vandalized at a school in the village of Jalud, which is near Nablus. 4 Israelis were arrested in that attack. The IDF said it viewed the attack on the Palestinian villages and IDF soldiers seriously, saying such actions create an unstable atmosphere and distract security forces from their primary mission of protecting against terror. Price tag attacks refer to retribution attacks by Jewish right-wing extremists, usually in response to Palestinian violence against Jews or to Israeli government policies in the West Bank. Shots were reported fired earlier this week at the Synagogue of Yekaterinburg, breaking windows but not injuring anyone. The Russian Jewish Congress, a team that monitors anti-Semitism in the region, reported that at least 2 bullets hit the building housing the synagogue on Monday. Matvey Chlenov, deputy executive director of the Russian Jewish Congress, said that no one was hurt but that the building was damaged. Local police were investigating the incident. Yekaterinburg is Russia's 4th largest city with a Jewish population of approximately 6,500. A former Polish foreign minister who helped save Jews during the Holocaust has donated documents and medals that he received from Israel to a new Jewish history museum opening in Warsaw. The Museum of the History of Polish Jews said that 91-year-old Władysław Bartoszewski donated such items as fake wartime documents of a Jewish resistance leader, wartime media reports about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, and his own honorary Israeli citizenship documents and Righteous Among the Nations medal, given to him in recognition of risking his own life to save Jews during World War II. Bartoszewski himself was imprisoned at the German Nazi death camp of Auschwitz from 1940 to 1941. After being among the very few freed there, he later co-founded the clandestine Zgoda organization, which gave Jews fake documents and placed them with Polish families. Bartoszewski served twice as Poland's foreign minister in 1995 and in 2000. His items will be part of a multimedia exhibition at the museum, which is set to open next year and will document the 1,000-year-long history of Jewish life and culture in Poland. The museum building is currently open to the public, serving as a cultural and educational center, offering temporary exhibits, films, and other activities. American Friends of Magen David Adom raised a record-breaking $3.8 million Sunday night at their first ever Los Angeles gala. Celebrities like comedian Jackie Mason and singer-songwriter Neil Sedaka performed at the event. The funds raised will go towards building a new blood center in Israel to replace the current one, which doesn't really accommodate the country's growing population. It is also in danger of being affected by rocket attacks as well as by earthquakes. The updated version of the center will include new and secure underground storage facilities. American Friends of Magen David Adom CEO Arnold Gerson said, "We still have a lot of work to do to reach our goal, but MDA and the people of Israel will soon have the kind of modern blood center they deserve." And tonight on Shalom TV, multi-talented performer Avi Hoffman joins Mark Golub on L'chaim at 9 o'clock. That's here on Shalom TV and shalomtv.com. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, October the 10th, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader.